All right, everyone. Welcome, my peoples. I am your man, Corp J. And thank you all for joining me today. It seems like it's been forever, right? That we've kind of met and I've put out video. I have been extremely busy. There's a lot going on with me and just extremely busy. So I apologize to all of you that have not seen videos recently from me or gotten the type of consistent published post videos that I normally do. So I apologize for that. I am working on really getting back on that schedule. So please bear with me. Thank you all for the ones that have sent me an email that were just concerned. I am okay. I'm good. It's just been a lot of work, a lot of things going on in the back scenes, making money, right? But I am truly excited about talking about this video today. We are going to be talking about a recent interview that Bounty Killer, who is a Jamaican DJ, did. He did it about 2 weeks ago, and it was brought to my attention by one of you, and I truly appreciate that. So I want to review this. Now, the reason why I want to review this video is it really addresses a lot of things. He said a lot of things in this video, and I want to go in and review it, perhaps frame by frame. I'm not going to play the entire interview. I'm going to pick out certain portions of the interview and I'm going to talk about it. And I think that he really echoed a lot of things that most of us know. And I am extremely excited that Bounty Killer did this interview because he is such a mega DJ that has a voice. He's such a very famous person in Jamaica, and I think it's important that his voice was heard on this. And I want to talk about this. Now, there are key parts of this interview that I want you guys to pay attention to. What he says about Afrobeats, what he says about dancehall and reggae, what he says about the artists themselves and what they are currently doing, and he compares this to in terms of what Afrobeat artists are currently doing and what dancehall artists are currently doing. And he was very critical of dancehall artists, and I want you guys to hear from him what he says. Now, I don't want to waste any more time, so let's just get right into this interview, okay?
Do you believe dancehall music still has a place on the international market with the emergence of Afrobeats?
Hell yeah, Afrobeat has nothing to do with dancehall. Afrobeat is another genre. Yeah, Afrobeat never came in competition with dancehall or came with intent to take something from dancehall. I don't know why people kept on comparing Afrobeat and dancehall. Why? Afrobeat is like a baby from dancehall. It's a relative. Afrobeat and Jamaican music is similar music, African and Jamaican music, and I'm so happy for Afro. Music originating in Africa, from the Congo beat. Africa finally has a sound.
Okay, so I want to address that part right there. So I am extremely happy that he clarified this, because it is unusual and it's weird when I see people comparing Afrobeat and dancehall together. These two music genres are not to be compared. There is nothing there. These music genres are unique in their own right. Dancehall is unique in its own right and has existed for a while. And Afrobeat is unique in its own right and as it's just emerging. Similar to hip hop. Hip hop is unique in its own right. And that's the beauty of these music genres, especially that's the beauty of Afrobeat. It's that Afrobeat, it's unique in its own right. And so this idea that people are comparing these two, and there's this sort of internal warring, if you will, that a few Jamaicans are having when they compare Afrobeat to dancehall. They're not to be compared. And I am so glad that he clarified it. I am also very happy to see him give credit to Africa. And you heard him say that all music comes from Africa. And this is why I love Jamaicans. This is why I love Jamaicans. You know, and most of you have heard me say that Jamaicans are my family. You know, I'm married to a Jamaican. And Jamaicans are one of a few people that migrated or have their roots in Africa who still recognize and still celebrate their root in Africa. Jamaicans are. They've always done it. You know, I have Jamaican family. They always done it. They don't, there's no fight with Jamaicans and Africans. I mean, you'll find a few silly ones that will do things like that. But for the most part, Jamaicans and Africans are like close knit, right? And it's a great thing when you find people from the Caribbean, Jamaicans. You'll find people from Trinidad and Tobago. You'll find people from, you know, the Barbados. These people give credit to their homeland, which is Africa. And that's a great thing. So to hear him say all music comes from Africa, and he's happy to see that Africa is getting its own sound. It's a great thing to see that. And so I'm glad that he really clarified that. Most importantly, don't compare Afrobeat and dancehall. Dancehall music and Afrobeat are two distinctive music genres. They have distinctive sounds. Yeah, you might find the 5 beats element from each one of them. They all have this, you know, hip hop, dancehall, you know, even, you know, salsa and merengue. All of these 5 beats elements came from Africa. They all got it. Even when you look at pop music and rap, all of those beat element, 3 beats, beats element, 5 beats, they all come from Africa. And to see Jamaican superstar like Bounty Killer really say that, that's a good credit. So let's just keep going into that. He says a whole lot of other things, so I want to get to it.
So I'm excited, and Afro not taking nothing from dancehall.
That's correct.
Afro compliments dancehall.
That's right.
See Nicki Minaj and Skeng they all over. On dancehall beat, it's just the topics. Dancehall artists don't have any topics. They are stupid. They are singing some regional thing, some corner argument. They're not singing old argument where every household understand what this means. Chopper arguments, come up and corner, that not related. People can relate to that in every nation and every country.
Now that is an important fact and point that he made. And I want to deal with that for a second, because you've often heard people say, you know, especially when you hear people from Ghana, you know, how is it that Afrobeats, Nigerians are widely recognized, and how Afrobeat was able to cross over to international market. That is a very important thing that I want to talk about today. Okay. And you heard him say that dancehall has no topic, right? That they're not relatable, that people can't relate to dancehall music. And that is very, very important that he said that. And this goes to the genius of Afrobeat artists and Nigerian artists. Now, here's one thing I want you guys to pay attention to, because it's the same question that a lot of Ghanaian artists are asking. How is it? They seem to be bothered by this whole thing, right? How did Nigerian artists cross over? And how is it that Afrobeat is all over the place so quickly? Now, I would argue that it didn't happen so quickly. But nonetheless, when we look at the timeline from 2010, you know, to where we are right now, you can make the conclusion that was a quick exposure. Now, the reason why they were able to do that is because the Nigerian artists, when they were coming up, quickly pivoted from when they were singing in Nigeria and they were mixing, you know, their local dialect. They were singing mostly in their local dialect. So you find like the flavor of the world. You find the Olamides back in the days. You find the the guys back then that were coming up. They were all singing in Yoruba language, but they quickly pivoted because they understood mass consumption. They understood that if they're going to have this music genre really be recognized globally, they will need to appeal to the global audience who primarily speaks English. All right? English is a universal language. There are billions of people on the planet. 4 billion people on the planet. English is a universal language. And so even while reggae dancehall has a lot of English in it, most of it is broken English. It is patois. And many people will have a hard time hearing it. Now, it hasn't stopped reggae from being popular. It hasn't. Reggae has been popular over the years, even with that. However, when you talk about leverage, it makes a difference when people can relate to what you're saying. They can understand what you're saying. Even while music is a universal language, most times you don't even need to understand what is being said. You just need to feel, the rhythm and the beats, and you need to jive to it, right? So that's why music is the only language that's universal. So you don't really have to understand the language that says. You just have to feel the rhythm and beat. However, it's an edge over another genre if people can understand what is being said in the lyrics and in the music. It gives you a competitive edge because you can appeal to a mass market. It is why high life has really fizzled out, because a lot of the hip life artists in Ghana sang primarily in their native dialect, Tree. And so Nigerians were doing this in the early phases of Afrobeats, understood this and pivoted right away and began singing a lot of their songs in English, and they mass produced that, collaborated with a lot of international artists. That's how they got to where they are. It is not rocket science. It didn't happen in a vacuum. It was a strategic move that a lot of the Nigerian artists had, and their producers and their business partners and their managers. That's how they got here, right? And so when Bounty Killer is saying that, dancehall artists are just not relatable, they are singing song that is only locally based, that only local people can understand, at some point that will become a problem, right? That will become a problem. You're going to have a limited market exposure, and when something else comes around, you quickly will fall apart. And that's what happened with dancehall. Is that dancehall was all well and good. What gave dancehall and reggae exposure over the years was hip hop, right? Hip hop and the collaboration of hip hop artists with the likes of Sean Paul, with the likes of Beanie Man, with the likes of all these Jamaican artists, Elephant Man, and many of them like that, Buji Banton, many of them. These artists collaborate with hip hop artists, which is how hip hop, and that was a smart move. That was a smart strategic move. Many of them really got the exposure that we got. That's why most people in the Western world heard of reggae. Yes, Bob Marley did his thing back in the days, and Bob Marley pushed it into the West. However, we're talking about circular mass consumption. The collaboration with hip hop was what gave reggae a huge exposure to the Western world. Because even with that, most people find a hard time understanding what was being said. But the artists that they understood, which was the hip hop artists that spoke primarily in English, gave it a lot of credibility, and that really infused life into that. And we loved reggae for how we love it today. I mean, even when you listen to Bounty Killer right now, most of you have a hard time understanding what he's saying. And I can understand him because, I'm married to a Jamaican and I have Jamaican family. So I've come to understand. Sometimes it's hard for me sometimes too, but I can pick out some words that they're saying that average people that are not used to communicating with Jamaicans might have a hard time saying it. And for me, I can hear him just like I can understand him, just like I can understand anyone else easily, right? Because I've been around Jamaicans and I'm always around Jamaicans. So what he's saying is really a fact that people have to relate to your music. He uses words like, it doesn't have any topic, and you hear him use this over and over again. And that is a very, very important point, is the music has to be relatable. Afrobeat artists were masterful in pivoting and allowing and making their music relatable to mass consumption, especially the Gen Zs in the West. When they write a good history about this, you're going to find out that Afrobeat artists targeted Gen Zs. And the Gen Zs on TikTok really gave it the promotion that it did. They targeted, they were very strategic with it. They targeted the social media, TikTok, and really aligned and got their music relatable to Gen Zs, which is how Afrobeat became successful. It's a fascinating storyline. But let's just keep going. He's got more that he said, and I want to cover this.
How far that goes? Fool. People are singing for around the road. So that's why Afro have topic. Afro don't even have lyrics. Afrobeat don't even have no lyrics. They have a lot of melody, groove, and topic. Yeah. That a lyrics? No, it's a topic. Yeah. We know what yeah mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just a topic and the melody. Yeah. Style, melody, topic.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about that. Now, he's an artist. And so you have to understand artists are very dramatic and they are very, very eccentric. And so most of you, when you watch him, or many of you, when you watch him, you might think that he's taking a dig at Burna Boy and all that. No, that's not what he's doing. What he's saying in an artistic way is he's talking about a storyline. You know, that Afrobeat has a theme, has a relatable storyline. Yeah. So that's something that people can, it's an affirmation. It's a way that people can say, it's a cool affirmation that everyone understands. Who doesn't understand what yeah is? You know, yes is a universal language. Yeah is a universal language. Any country you go to, you say yeah. They know what you're talking about. No one is going to say, what does that mean? It's a universal phrase. And so even while it's got a little bit of the broken element to it, and it relates more, you know, yeah. You know, that is something that everyone can relate to, right? And so he uses that to define what his argument is that Afrobeat artists really focused on coming up with lyrics, melodies that really touch the vast majority of people. He's also going to talk about how Afrobeat artists focused on a groove and a very danceable party type of music, where the music can be played in clubs. They can be played while you're with your friends and you're jiving. He talks about that. That's another key thing, because if you're going to be going for a mass consumption and you figure out a segment of the market that you want to penetrate into, in this case, Afrobeat wanted to go with and wanted to appeal to young people. They understood that young people like to go out, you know, and to the clubs or to festivals or to carnivals or to, you know, concerts. They get that we're still in that era, the era of really partying, you know, external partying and all of that. They wanted to appeal that. They wanted a danceable type of beats, things that are all upbeat, that have really strong, you know, rhythm to it, with drums and all of that. They wanted to get that, so that when you hear it, you're just bobbing your head and you're just feeling the music. It's not boring. It's something that you can really dance to. You can get off the dance floor and really kind of jive to this. And so a lot of the music really followed that pattern, and they kept it simple. You know, they really kept it simple. You know, there's this thing that salespeople always say. They use words like KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what it stands for. Sometimes it's the simplicity of art tells a better story than when you're trying to complicate the whole thing. So he's saying that a strong phrase like yay, you know, relates more to something else that what you would hear him say with the dancehall artists come up with, and people don't understand what you're saying, right? So that's very, very important. Okay.
Simple. Look into my eyes, tell me what you see. Can you feel my only lyrics that you know comparing to Burna Boy, yeah, no? And yeah, it's a bigger song, you know? Cause yeah, easy if you catch, you know, so much lyrics. You know, what, yeah. One word with a lot of melody and the beat nice and full of style and groove. We don't want no more Jamaican music too technical. And the type of thing, and them are singing a metaphor like them not really what when them say, why you singing those in metaphor? You make it simply technical, not technically technical.
Yeah.
This is how dancehall music is today. Technically technical. They are making the songs like it's a test. You have to figure it out and puzzle it out. Nobody don't want to puzzle music.
That is such a great wisdom. I'm telling you that he is dropping a lot of jam in this interview. When I watched the interview, he was just talking. He can really teach a class with this, right? And so he's talking about the progression of dancehall, and dancehall hasn't always been this way, right? It really progressed, and this is what artists are struggling with today. And I think the key part that artists are having today is, and this is something that's also affecting hip hop, is that artists are forgetting that their audiences grow up and they evolve. Only a few artists get this, and these are the ones that are remaining relevant. People like Jay-Z, people like Beyonce, people like Rihanna, people like these artists that we've always learned, people like Chris Brown. You know, these artists know that their audiences grow up. You know, if you were appealing to that, if your audience and your style and your flavor and the way you were communicating, mostly, you know, were like the 18-year-olds to early 20s, those ones, after a few years, they're going to get bored with that same music and they're going to move on to next music or next type of music. And so you're going to need to follow the trend and keep it very simple, because they're growing older. Okay, that is what Afrobeat artists will need to learn. Now, Afrobeat is still young; it hasn't been tested. It's still enjoying its, honeymoon stage. It hasn't been tested, right? So hip hop has been tested, and hip hop lasted for 30 years. Reggae has been tested, and reggae has lasted for a lot longer than hip hop has, and dancehall. So these genres have been tested. However, the new artists that have come up over the last 10, 15 years have stuck in the past where these music genres had their golden years, and they've forgotten, or they're forgetting, that a lot of their audiences are evolving, they're moving. That's why when you watch artists like 50 Cent, Jay-Z, back when he pivoted from hardcore gangster rap hip hop and began really infusing his style with pop music. If you watch that, it's because, and I was in the middle of that too. Back in 2004, 2005, hip hop really began to really lose a lot of that flavor. The gangster hip hop, the rap that most people loved, the hardcore gangster rap that really gave a lot of the early artists a lot of their flair, they really began to fizzle out. And this is where you found Jay-Z, even he himself began to put on, his style of clothing began to change. You know, you would find him wear the Rockaway jeans and he'll have a button-up shirt over it, right? And you'll find him show up at red carpet now with the jerseys that he would normally show up with when the Source Awards used to happen back in the days. He would show up with it in a suit. Same thing with 50 Cent. When was the last time you saw 50 Cent in a jersey? You've never seen it. It's been years. He's always in a suit. These artists understand that their image and the audience in which they want to go after is bigger than the audience base that they started with. So rap started, when you have your audience base, there's that base core audience that you're going to go after. But there's a mass market larger than your core market. So whatever genre that it is. So that's why Nigerian artists were very smart. They understood that if they're going to be successful with this thing, they're going to move beyond Nigeria. Because while you might think your audience is large, there's a greater world out there that you're going to tap in. And this world doesn't necessarily, or they don't necessarily, may not necessarily vibe with the type of imagery that you created in your own locally based. They have a different flavor that they jive with, that you're going to match them on. It's a very complicated thing. And the artists that have done it have remained relevant today, right? That's why hip hop is dying off. And that's why dancehall is dying off, because these artists and these genres are still stuck in the eras, in their golden years, where people didn't mind. There was a time where I wore a jersey, right? There was a time I wore a jersey, and it was cool to wear. Back in New York when I had jersey, I had I had track pants. There was time baggy pants were the thing. Everyone know that. We all wore those things when they're there, but then it fizzled out. Everyone moved down to fitted pants, fitted clothes, button up. People wearing suits to clubs. They're wearing blazers to clubs. These are the same people that were wearing baggies to clubs, because the industry moves. And if you don't understand that people grow up and still have an appreciation for music, you're going to lose audiences every single time, and you're going to try to build new ones. And that's not how you want to grow with your audience. And he's saying that dancehall got too technical, too complicated. They're not keeping it simple, and they're not evolving with the audience. That's what he's saying. And that is a very important lesson. But let's keep going though.
We want music to relieve our stress. We are giving music with stress out there, and all we hear is a fight for here, because you're singing and your nose and all them something there. That a mash up dancehall is the creativity. They are not creative anymore. Any little fool in the one man want to take it a turn in a song. How much nation you see a follow the little fool in the where you're going to sing? When you make the song, look on the nation and the world and talk to it.
There you go.
Don't look around the waterhouse or down a river and I call it a bed.
That's real talk.
And I make the song.
That's real talk. You have to evolve from your local base, right? You have to look at the world and say, what is the world looking for? How can I reach people that don't speak my language? How can I reach people that don't dress the way I dress? How can I reach people that don't talk the way I talk? How? What is that universal thing that connects everyone? You're going to have to find that as an artist. English is one of it. Clothing style is another. You're going to have to find it. And the artists that do it are the ones that transcend from their local place, and they're international, and they're able to touch international audiences and stay relevant. The artists that think that their local base is all that is, they're going to stay local champions. They're going to stay local champions, and they're going to gripe about other ones that are able to really touch people internationally in even vast amount of way. You're going to have to find that. It's upon you as an artist, right? It's on you.
That's dancehall problem. The topics are limited. Mm-hmm. None of chopper artists not big like Charlie Blacks. Party animal, everybody know about party. Mm-hmm. The word party big in every nation.
That's right. That's why it was big. That was
don't party.
That was why
Simple.
That song was big.
So that all artists them don't choose the topic right.
So he uses topic to describe what he's saying, and I get what he's saying. I would say is a story. You got to be able to tell a story that touches everyone. See, stories are what people relate to, right? If a storyline connects with you, right, you're going to share it. You're going to play it. You're going to demand it. You're going to request it. You're going to go to anywhere that story is. Story is what connects everyone, right? So he uses the word topic, and I get what he's saying. If I have to take that further, I would even say it's even the story behind the topic that really connects Afrobeat to everyone. And that's why Afrobeat is so huge. This is why I said it in my videos in the past. And I've talked about how Afrobeat is going to outlive a lot of this. Now, I don't say it as a spite or to slight other music genres, because these other music genres were pivotal and they were awesome, and I will always have respect for them, right? But there's always an evolving of everything. Human beings evolve, music evolve. Afrobeat is going to have its time, and it's going to evolve to something else. However, Afrobeat is here today, and it's going to outlast I'm thinking, I said 50 years is what I predict Afrobeat is going to last for. Because primarily, if they keep it the way they are right now and not pivot into some garbage that we've seen all these other music genre kind of fall into, that's caused their demise. If they keep it the way it is, where it's clean, it's user friendly, it's family friendly, the lyrics are beautiful, they're relatable. If they keep it that way, they are going to dominate this whole thing. Nigerians are going to dominate this for the next 50 years. Afrobeat is, right? Because it's a beautiful melody song. It's a beautiful song. It connects with everyone. People love it. It's got really strong beats, right? It's got strong tempo. It's got strong melodies. It's got strong storyline that we all can connect to. It's clean version. Doesn't have a whole bunch of stuff that you have to be embarrassed to say or listen to. If they keep it this way, Afrobeat is going to have a lot of books written about it. It's going to have a lot of ventures that will come from it. Clothing, merchandising, movies. It's just going to transcend into a whole lot of things if it continues this way. And I hope it does. And I think it will.
The argument is regional, and we are singing our own dialect, and we are talking to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So the music there does go in the diaspora.
Did you see what I'm saying? You say you're talking to yourself. This is the argument that even Ghanaians are struggling with this, and I talked about this. It was a criticism I had for Ghanaian artists, even while the Ghanaian artists that are adopted into Afrobeat now. Even the high life thing, they're talking to their local people, and it's not working. You gotta talk to people beyond your logo. So you have to stop. It's great. You have a starting base, but you need to be able to think about mass consumption. It's huge. So it's what differentiates one artist to another. You got to think about people that have the same skin color that you have, but people that also have different skin color from you. Okay. You can't be part of this political thing. You can't be political with your music. You can't say, "Oh, I'm just going to talk to," you can't be, even though we've had artists that have really breaking barriers with their political versions to the music. Bob Marley, Fela Kuti, and many others like that, right? But if you're thinking about really longevity in this industry, you're going to have to exclude yourself from politics. Once in a while, you might talk about it, but you're going to have to think about the global sense and global mass market consumption. And that's what he's saying.